Howdy, folks. I'm Yodeling Yams, happily yammering to yawning Yorkies.
I'm Amber.
And here are more yawning Yorkies for us to yammer to because we've got a lot of important things to talk about, like some Reddit. Let's get started. Alright, folks, and our first letter is titled, My roommate's boyfriend called me mommy in front of my friends, so I kicked him out. Am I the jerk? So, I'm a 20-year-old female, and I live with my best friend Claire, a 21-year-old female. We've been super close since high school, and she's basically my ride or die. Recently, she started dating this guy, Luke, a 23-year-old male, who honestly gives me the ick. But I've been keeping it to myself because I don't want to ruin things for her. Luke is one of those wannabe alpha dudes who thinks that he is super deep and edgy, but he just comes across as cringe. He's also low-key flirting with me sometimes, but I just brush it off because I don't want the drama. Anyways, last weekend I had some friends over for a movie night. Claire was working late, but Luke was hanging out in the apartment. Everything was chill until Luke randomly walked into the living room while we were watching the movie and said, "Hey, mommy, can you make me some popcorn?" The room went dead silent, and I was mortified. My friends started slowly, awkwardly laughing, and I just stared at him and was like, "What?" He smirked and was like, "What? It was just a joke." You know, because you're like the mom of the apartment. I told him to leave the room and not to come back until Claire got home. He got all mad and said that I was overreacting, but I wasn't about to let him act weird in front of my friends like that. When Claire came home, I told her what had happened, and she was mad at me for kicking him out of the living room. She said that I humiliated him and that he was just trying to be funny. Now Luke refuses to come over unless I apologize, and Claire is saying that I'm being unreasonable. But, like, who calls their girlfriend's roommate mommy as a joke? Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
No, not the jerk. And honestly, why is he hanging around when Claire isn't there? This isn't his house. He's not on the lease. I don't see any problem here with him not coming over until OP apologizes, because I just don't apologize and problem solved.
Yeah, all I was going to say is, oh, no, please, Luke, don't not come back over again. Whatever will we do? So, yeah, OP, problem solved. It solved itself. You don't apologize, he doesn't come back. Win, win, win. All around winning. So that's my advice. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Gray Blue Girl says, oh no, he's not going to come over? Cry about that in the living room while enjoying the peace and quiet, not the jerk. And OP replies, I love peace and quiet. And Lamb's English says, guess Luke won't be coming over for a while then. And OP replies, yes, he needs to stay away. And Arantis says, I see this as an absolute win. He won't come over, and you will never have to see him again. Don't ever back down. If you apologize, the very first time that he sees you again, he will call you mommy. I guarantee it. And OP replies, haha, thank you. Finally, people agree. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for telling my boyfriend to smile less widely in photos because of his smile lines? So I'm a 27-year-old female and I've been dating my boyfriend, a 29-year-old male, for about 2 years, and we have a really great relationship. He is genuinely a happy person, and he smiles a lot. He's got this big, goofy, genuinely warm smile that he does without even thinking about it. The only thing is that when he smiles widely, he has these two noticeable smile lines around his mouth on either side. I don't know what got into me, but a few weeks ago, we were taking a picture together, and I told him that he might look better if he smiled a little more naturally. By that, I meant more like a soft smile rather than his big, usual, huge grin. He looked a little surprised and asked if something was wrong with his usual smile. I awkwardly explained that the wider he smiled, the more it showed around the lines, and maybe a softer smile would look a little more flattering in photos. Since then, I've noticed that he's been smiling less in pictures and almost seems self-conscious about it. He hasn't mentioned it, but last weekend we were at a family event, and in every group photo, he kept his smile really closed-lipped and barely smiled at all. My mom asked if he was feeling okay. Last night, I asked him if something was bothering him, and he finally admitted that what I had said about his smile lines really got to him. He said that he didn't realize that I'd felt that way, and now he feels a little embarrassed every time he smiles in photos. I felt really guilty and apologized, but he's been quieter since, and I feel like I really messed this one up here. I didn't mean to hurt him, but I did. Am I the jerk for even bringing up his smile lines in the first place? All right, folks, what do you think?
Yes, you're the jerk. As a general course, like, don't comment on people's things like lines on their face and whatnot unless they explicitly ask you to.
Yeah.
Like, the kind of the rule is if they can fix it in like a minute, like Spanish in the teeth type of thing, sure, let them know. But if it's something that they cannot fix easily, like they have lines on their face or something, don't point it out. That's just cruel.
Well, it even sounds like OP was like, oh, he has this big, warm,
Mm-hmm.
lovely smile that I like a lot, but they went and ruined it and made him self-conscious by being like, by the way, you have smile lines. And it's like, you don't need to comment on that.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, what good does that do? Like commenting on people's appearance rarely does anything for either you or the other person, right?
Right. Like, it's not constructive. If they're happy with their face as it is, it's just hurtful and you're introducing a new insecurity.
Yeah. And I really feel bad for Luke here because he might have to think about this for a long time. I mean, I hope he just ignores what OP has to say, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because his smile looks fine. And I think other people need to go, hopefully, can tell him that his smile is fine and that he doesn't need to be self conscious about it. But unfortunately, the damage is kind of done here, right?
Right. OP has done permanent psychological damage to him with that comment,
Yeah.
probably, unfortunately.
But let me know what you folks think. So, anyhow, take care and good luck. But, folks, let's see what the Wheel of Judgment has to say. Wheel of Judgment, turn, turn, turn. Tell us the judgment that OP's earned. Centrifuge. Centrifuge.
Apparently, the wheel is very much not about body shaming.
At least today it isn't.
At least today, yeah. Today it has decided that is its one moral ground.
Yeah. And Dog the Bot Hunter says, you literally asked him to be more aware, conscious of his smile. Why are you surprised that he's falling through? You're the jerk. And OP replies, I feel like I made him insecure about his smile, and that wasn't the goal at all. Now I feel really bad for him because it's not like I think his smile is ugly. Dog the Bot Hunter says, right, you just don't like how it looks because he gets ugly smile lines. And OP replies, can you point out where I called them ugly though? I read my post back to make sure, and I don't see where I called them ugly. Aggressive Jacket 663 says, you were mad because he smiled a lot. Now you're mad because he's smiling less. Are you sure you're 27 and not 17? And Shot Ad 1295 says, you're the jerk. Why comment on your partner's appearance, especially about something you know he can't change? You've given him a new insecurity he probably never had before. Good job. All right, folks, our next letter is titled, I'm a 27-year-old female and I screamed at my husband, a 28-year-old male, over his hobbies. And now he's changed and I don't know how to fix this. Hey everyone, I need some advice about the situation with my husband. I'm a 27-year-old female and he's 28-year-old male, and we've been married for 4 years. He has a room where he keeps all of his hobbies, sim racing, aviation setups, soccer analysis tools, Lego sets, music production equipment. Basically, it's his sanctuary. He's super analytical, and he loves writing and dissecting things, from sports to politics. He's slightly on the spectrum and very introverted, so he doesn't have any close friends. I'm really the only person he shares everything with. He's always inviting me into his space to be part of his interests. I love him and I appreciate that he wants to include me, but sometimes I just need some time for myself. Recently I snapped. I yelled at him by saying some hurtful things that I didn't really mean, like how his interests bore me and that he needs to get a social life. And he even questioned why I married him. I regret everything that I said, but my anger got the best of me, and I couldn't control it in that moment. Since then, he's completely changed. He stopped spending time in his room, he moved to sleeping on the couch, and he barely talks to me. He even ignored our usual tradition of watching our home nation's soccer team play, something that he's never skipped before. Instead, he was working on his laptop, breaking our no work at home rule. When I asked him about it, he said that he didn't care about the game and mentioned that maybe he should be more like his father, who's a workaholic and whom my husband idolizes. He even added that I don't blame him for divorcing at that age now. I've apologized multiple times, but he just says, it's okay, maybe you're right, and shuts down any attempts that I make to talk about his interests. I'm terrified that he's considering divorce. I know I messed up, but I don't know how to rebuild the trust and help him feel valued and loved again. I don't want to lose him, but I'm unsure of how to approach this and to make amends. Any advice? All right, folks, what do you think?
I mean, I don't think this is going to necessarily be something you can heal. You have said some things that are so hurtful that they may just be unforgivable to him. You basically trashed his hobbies and said you don't even know why you're married to him.
Yeah.
Which, you know, even if it's said in anger, like that's still something you meant to some degree. And maybe it's for the best if this doesn't continue so he can find someone who does appreciate him for who he is and enjoys his hobbies.
If they are looking to reconcile with their partner, they need to go into couples counseling ASAP. And OP needs to go into individual therapy and work on their temper because clearly they've reached a point where they can't control their temper and they need to learn how to control their temper and not say the first thing that comes into their head while they're arguing. And that's really where this needs to start. It needs to start with a change within OP. And OP needs to try to, beg for forgiveness essentially at this point in time. It just kind of goes to show when you've said something, you can't unsay it.
Right, because it seems like OP is at that stage. They're trying to engage him in his interests, but he doesn't feel safe to talk to OP about these anymore because she's made it clear that she thinks that these are ridiculous hobbies.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that maybe OP can articulate some of the stuff that they've said in this letter to their partner, explain that they have an anger issue, that it's their problem, not their partner's problem, and that it's something that they need to work on and fix. And then hopefully, giving them that information and saying, I'm really deeply sorry. I'm actually interested in your hobbies. I said these because I was being hurtful in the moment and I didn't mean it at all. And again, that's me and my problem, not you and your problem. And hopefully that can help to work towards fixing something.
Potentially, although the one thing is, it sounds like from this post that OP genuinely is not interested in their hobbies, and that's why I'm wondering if this even will work in the long term.
Well, I mean, if OP genuinely isn't interested, then that's not sincere, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can't say those kinds of things if you're not sincere about it. I just assumed that they were saying these things as being to be hurtful. So
Yeah, well, just the whole way the post was framed, it came across to me as OP doesn't enjoy or appreciate their hobbies.
yeah. So why are you with this person if you don't like the stuff that they're doing, you don't enjoy their hobbies, and you don't want to share in their delights? I don't know.
Yeah, like, because it's fine for people to have different interests in a relationship. You know, you don't have to like all the exact same things, but there does need to be some level of mutual like support.
Yeah, and you also have to consider that this person, he probably was very likely bullied,
Mm-hmm.
right? If he's socially kind of isolated, he may have had a very hard time making friends in school. And if he was bullied for his interests and hobbies, then he may have felt that he finally found someone who he was safe to share these interests with.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I'm speculating a tremendous amount here, but I can see something like that where this was something in his childhood that he was teased about and that, would make him even more upset and realize that no one is really safe to talk to about these kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a really unfortunate situation. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Darkling Dawn says, you didn't just criticize his hobbies, you degraded him, saying that he needs a social life and asking why you married him. Did you even try to talk to him frankly before you snapped? Did you tell him that you needed some space, or did you just stuff it all down until one day you screamed it all out? Instead of apologizing, I suggest that you see if he's willing to go to couples counseling with you, where you can all work on communication and trying to move past this incident. And Disconnect D3296 says this, that wasn't just an outburst of anger, that's built up resentment. And Scalar Boy says, all this, and I would add that your husband's hobbies define him as a person. Your insults cross the line. I cannot imagine anyone that I love crushing me so completely with words the way that you did to your husband. You, OP, are the one that needs to get a life. Maybe you should take up a hobby of your own. Anyone can be a critic. Critics don't need skills or expertise. I have no advice for you. You couldn't apologize enough. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Telling My Husband That I'm Done With His Help Around the House? My husband is a 34-year-old male and I'm a 31-year-old female, and we've been together for about 8 years and married for 5. We both work full-time and we've always split household chores, but here's the thing, his version of helping is a nightmare. For example, I'll ask him to help with the laundry, and he'll agree, but instead of sorting things like delicates or checking pockets, he throws everything into the washer in one setting. This has ruined clothes and stained things beyond repair. The same thing happens in the kitchen when he helps by making a mess while cooking. But he leaves everything piled up in the sink and somehow manages to dirty every single dish and pan. I've tried teaching him, suggesting easier ways, even leaving little checklists, but he always says that he knows what he's doing and dismisses my advice. I end up spending double the time either fixing what he did or doing things over from scratch. And whenever I bring it up, he says that he's trying his best or accuses me of being too picky and controlling. This came to a head recently when he helped me by cleaning up our living room right before my friends came over. I thought that he had done a great job until one of my friends found my birth control pills in the junk drawer because he decided to tidy up by throwing everything into random places. I was embarrassed, but when I told him, he laughed it off. So last night I told him that I'm done with his help and that I would rather just do everything on my own if he's not willing to do things properly. He got upset, saying that he's just trying to make things easier for me, and now I'm criticizing him for helping. Now he's barely speaking to me and I'm feeling conflicted. Am I the jerk for telling my husband to stop helping me if he can't do things right? All right, folks, what do you think?
OP, this is weaponized incompetence. This is his end game, is to get out of housework entirely. Honestly, if you want to salvage this relationship, I don't know if there's a type of counselor who helps with weaponized incompetence, but like if you can find someone who does that,
Yeah.
because what he is doing is malicious. It is intentional sabotage. So I think one thing is you could just do, where possible, your own chores, like wash your own laundry, make your own food, let him fend for himself, and try not to be bothered by the messes he leaves behind.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely one way to handle things is if OP basically splits the household down halfway, right? And says, this half of the house is mine, and this half of the house is yours, you deal with it, so on and so forth. I mean, but at that point in time, you're just roommates, right? And you're not
Right.
actually working together or living together. You're tolerating each other until you get a divorce.
Well, the idea wouldn't be permanent. It would be this is so you understand what this workload is like type of thing. Like, because I'm really at a loss for someone who, because weaponized incompetence is manipulation. It is intentional. And like, how do you even work with someone who is intentionally sabotaging you?
Yeah, I mean, it's either willful ignorance or just malice, right? And at a certain point, it doesn't matter whether it is malice or, ignorance, it's still harmful, right? And OP just, I mean, again, like I think what you said, counseling would be a really good idea to kind of help them maybe move forward, maybe help him see that what he's doing is really harmful and hurting OP. It's a difficult situation for OP because they're kind of in a lose-lose situation.
Right. And like, I'm not even sure if counseling would help. Like, it depends on who the counselor is, but like, if he plays off some sob story about he's trying so hard, but OP is always over criticizing him, like, I can see that, because that's why you're not supposed to do counseling with abusers. And I'm not saying he's intentionally abusive, but he is manipulative and he can spin his own narrative. I mean, he has OP convinced that it's too hard for him when he's clearly, like you said, it's either malicious or, indifference.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
What do you think would happen if you dropped a hand grenade on the ground?
I think you would get scrambled eggs.
It would explode.
Oh, eggsplode? Okay. That was a real stretch for this book.
I got very confused for a second even reading it. I was like, a hand grenade?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just that they copied from Jovial Bobstein, and
Like
he had the wrong answer.
Yeah. Well, like, 'cause there've been so many good ones, but this page is a little bit like, I'm not sure about this.
We're raising some eyebrows at this for sure. And I have licorice spice. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy, wonderful Wednesday, folks. Hump Day, Friday, Junior Eve. I hope your week is off to a great middle point. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it a haiku for Haiku Wednesday.
Tell me to smile, but not to smile too wide is rude and unkind.
I like it. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye!